Yes, the second caller is Gary Gauchi with Waste Management.
Thank you. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you.
And I'm going to go ahead and start the YouTube live and the recording.
I have 6 o'clock, so notice is hereby given pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Vernon's Annotated Civic Statutes, Article 6252-17, that the City of Smithville will conduct a council meeting and public hearing on February 8th, 2021 at 6 o'clock p.m. This meeting will be closed to in-person attendance by the public. A temporary suspension of the Open Meetings Act to allow telephone or video conference public meetings has been granted by Governor Greg Abbott. These actions are being taken to mitigate the spread of COVID-19 by avoiding meetings that bring people into a group setting in accordance with Section 418.016 of the Texas Government Code. The published agenda said that people could notify our city secretary with any comments to be given at the meeting would have to be received by 5 p.m. today. You can follow us on YouTube. You can go to the city website and click on the link on the news announcement homepage to access the YouTube page. We've gone live at 6 p.m. You can also view the live conference call. The meeting will be recorded and uploaded to the city website following the conclusion of this meeting. With that, I call the meeting to order. Mr. Tamble, could you please give us the invocation?
Yes, Madam Mayor, be happy to do so. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to live in Smithville, Texas, and for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon our community. We ask that you watch over and protect our citizens, keep them safe, comfort those that are hurting, heal those that are sick. Lord, we ask that you watch over all the men and women who are on the front lines responding to the coronavirus, the first responders, the paramedics, the police officers, doctors, nurses, and pharmacists. Finally, Lord, we ask that you help guide the council to the best of their ability, that they may make the decisions that are in the best interest of our community. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
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 With that, we'll move to recognition, awards, proclamations, and announcement. We have a proclamation for African American History Month, which is the month of February. Whereas the citizens of our community have long been aware of the historic achievements and contributions of individuals, and whereas the linkage of those contributions to education is recognized, and whereas without a strong, free, great nation, these contributions would not have been possible. And whereas we recognize and appreciate the culture, language, lifestyle, diversities, and corresponding aesthetic values of all Americans, including African Americans. And whereas all of these contributions have made our city, state, and nation the great society it has become. Now, therefore, I, Joanna Morgan, serving as mayor of the city of Smithville, do hereby proclaim February as African American History Month and urge all citizens and institutions of the city and community to reaffirm their commitment to promoting awareness of and appreciation for the African American heritage and its place in American society. In witness whereof, I have hereto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Smithville, Texas, to be affixed this 8th day of February, 2021. Do we have any other announcements or notifications?
No.
Okay, hearing none. We'll move on to discussion and action on the appointment of Rhonda Yannick to place 4 to fill the unexpired term until May 1, 2020. one election. I think at this point, Madam Secretary, if you will, I think I need to call for a motion on that.
Mayor Morgan, I move that we appoint Rhonda Yannick to place 4 to fill the unexpired term until May 1st, 2021 election.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Well, all in favor, please indicate by raising your hand or saying aye.
Aye.
I believe that's unanimous. Any opposed? Okay. That's unanimous. And now, Madam Secretary, would you administer the pre-oath to Ms. Yannick?
Yes.
Madam Mayor, please hold on a minute. I was trying to get my volume to work. Just to give you a little background, Rhonda Yannick previously served on the council between 2015 and 2019. She understands all the protocols and procedures pertaining to city administration, budget, and overall operations. And the motion's been made and seconded. So congratulations in a moment, future council member Rhonda Yannick.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'm going to read the statement of office. And Rhonda, if you'll hold your hand to swear and say your name after I get started. So I,
Rhonda Yannick,
do solemnly swear or affirm that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be, so help me God. The title of position would be Alderman, Place 4, unexpired term. And that you do, under penalty of perjury, declare that you have read the foregoing statement and that the facts stated herein are true.
I do.
All right, and then Mayor Morgan's going to read the oath.
Ms. Yannick, when you will state your name at the appropriate point. In the name and authority of the state of Texas, I
Rhonda Yannick,
do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Council Member, Place 4 of the state of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God.
I do.
Thank you. Well, congratulations. You're now a council
Thank you.
member.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Now we're to approval of the minutes from January 11, 2021 council meeting and public hearing. Council, you've had the minutes. Do we have any additions or corrections? If not, then I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we accept the council meeting minutes from January 11th, council meeting and public hearing, and they be approved.
I second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of the minutes from January 11, 2021 council meeting. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any against? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Mayor, this is Robert. I need to ask everyone to make sure they speak clearly and loudly. Councilmember Bruno, your sound was way down, and I want to make sure the people on YouTube are hearing what we're saying, okay?
Okay, let me check it. Thank you.
All right, and now we're hearing recommendations from planning and zoning. Mr. Rewe, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. There are 2 items on the agenda from the last Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. The first one is a zone change request from Single Family 1 to Commercial 3 of a 20.93 acre tract in the Thomas DeCrow survey, abstract 27, track 4B, owner Pentrick Incorporated, and the agent was David M. Cox. This is the solar array field on the entrance into Smithville. It was annexed to the city by ordinance. It's required to come in as single family one. This will be a commercial project. I think the council's quite familiar with this proposed project. And so this is a request to change the zoning to a more fitting zoning for the commercial project that's going in there. There was one written comment to it. It was a question about whether or how this might affect tax values. This inquiry came from a person whose residence is near the 20-acre site. The applicants gave some general comments on that, but however, the effect on property values are somewhat speculative and not necessarily pertinent to the zoning request. And planning and zoning voted unanimously to recommend to city council to approve the zoning request. The second matter that was taken up is a front and side yard variance on 4 lots located at 401 North Main Street, Smithville, City Block 13, lots 5, 6, 7, and 8. Property owner Brackton and Mary Bledsoe. At the time, this was before planning and zoning. The proposed changes to the ordinance on setbacks for commercial properties had not yet passed. So we took this matter up. What the request is I think everyone's familiar with the location at 401. It's the Hill residence, very large home, probably takes up the city block. They have intend to use that as residential property. Noted that it's always been used as residential property. They have some plans to build some additional structures on the lots there. And what they wanted to be able to do is not have to build zero line setbacks, which is a requirement at the time under commercial 3. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to recommend the variance request so that they would not have to follow the zero setback lines. There was no one that spoke for or against this proposal. And that's my presentation, unless there are any questions that I could answer at this point.
Mayor, this is Robert again. Want to make a little correction. Brian, you didn't know about this, but it's actually 7,500 square feet as opposed to 2,093. As far as what's being annexed, the total didn't change, but the square footage was incorrect. So in item number A, and subsequently the next 2 times it appears on the agenda, instead of 2,093 square feet, it's 7,500 square feet. FYI.
I thought that it said the Bledsoe pulled a request for a front and side yard variance. So is it not affecting what they're asking for today? So they're just asking for a zero?
Councilman
currently-
Ford, yes, they pulled the request, and that was the next thing that was probably going to be communicated to y'all. The Bledsoes pulled their request for a variance.
Yeah, it was made unnecessary when the ordinance was changed.
Oh, so, okay. That was the confusing part.
Right. Yes, they had made the request before we modified the ordinance. So it was just a timing issue.
Okay, thank
Which was discussed in planning and zoning, but noted that at that point in time, it was not known for sure whether or not the city would pass that ordinance, that changes to the ordinance, so that in order, well, we addressed the ordinances as they stood at that point in time.
So when they want to build additional buildings, will they bring that before the council then? Or will that just be something they bring before as far as planning and just pull their permits then?
They would not need to come back before council unless they were requesting some kind of variance. It's my understanding that they don't require any additional variances, and they would just be pulling permits and going through the permitting process. Is that correct,
To
Robert?
build,
That is correct.
okay, so it would keep the same look they have now, and as they add more buildings or residentials or anything, then they'll just pull a permit then to continue, right?
That's correct. Again, the ordinance was modified to allow, to give the landowner in CBD the option to do zero lot line or not.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rewe. At this point, I will close the open meeting and open the public hearing and call that to order. Madam Secretary, do we have any citizens signed up for comments?
I do not have anybody signed up.
All right, we'll adjourn the public hearing and reopen the open meeting. Now, item 11A is discussion and action on a zoning change from SF1 to C3, 20.93 acres, including track 1.20.767 acres. And the adjusted number Robert said in the Thomas DeCrow survey, A27 track 4B acres, 0.163, R 871603, and R 78145, owner Pentrick Incorporated, agent David M. Cox. Is there any discussion on this item? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor Morgan, I move that we approve the zone change from SF1 to C3, 20.93 acres, including track 1, 20.767 acres, and 7,500 square feet in a Thomas DeCrow survey A27, tract 4B, acres 0.163, and the CAD number is R871603 and R78145. The owner is Pentrick Incorporated, and the agent is David M. Cox.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item B, since that's been withdrawn, Robert, we don't need to do anything more on that, do we?
You do not, ma'am.
All right. Moving on then to item 12. Madam Secretary, do we have any citizen comments?
We do have somebody that would like to speak on this action item.
Okay, this is
On,
Hello, hi, good evening. Can everybody hear me okay?
and I just want to remind you that you have 3 minutes starting whenever you speak again.
Okay, sorry, I just wanted to make sure everybody could hear me.
Yep, we
I'm John Harris, I'm the district manager. I represent Waste Connections Lone Star Inc. Thank you all for allowing me to have a minute to speak. I wanted to comment on this item, discussion and action on the waste management contract. I've had the opportunity to speak with the city manager, Mr. Robert Tamble, in the past about this opportunity. Waste Connections is a local solid waste services provider, partnering with numerous municipalities, communities, HOAs, for their residential and commercial solid waste services throughout Central Texas. Most notably, city of Bastrop, and I'd also point out city of Rollingwood for a couple of examples. had a minute to go through the agenda packet. It looked like part of the offering that the Waste Management is making here for this extension includes some rates that I just wanted to comment on. Seemed a bit high to me as someone familiar with the industry. Part of the concerns that I know that have come up from past discussions have been that the city of Smithville's needs are pretty extensive. Twice a week trash service, hand pickup via rear load, something that you don't really find very commonly provided these days. Waste Connections can absolutely do that. We do it for the city of Rollingwood, twice a week service, up to 5 cubic yards of bulk. And we also do once a week recycle collection for that city. And it's about the same size as the city of Smithville in Travis County. Our rates are significantly lower than what are being proposed herein for the city of Smithville. And while I can't tell you exactly what I'd be able to provide for the city of Smithville, it just wouldn't be appropriate in this time and place. But I can tell you we would be very competitive. And really, I'm here just to comment and ask that council consider Waste Connections adding some value, if by nothing else, than making this process competitive. We would love the opportunity to participate in an RFP, and hope that you consider that as you weigh your decision here this evening. Thanks a lot. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Robert, I think I'll turn this over to you to address your recommendation on this issue.
Fair enough. Jennifer, would you please allow sharing? I'll see if I can pull up the presentation. I'm not seeing what you're saying, but can you guys see the presentation now?
We just see your pretty face.
I'm sorry, what?
We just see your pretty face. Have a big romp.
Jennifer, work on that.
All we see is your giggle now. I don't know what we're looking for.
We're looking for a one-page, single-page summary. So let me get back to the.
You sure are shiny tonight, though.
What, my head or my?
Sorry, Robert.
What's going on? I did. Hold on. Okay, but it's not showing. We're working the technical difficulties out. Sorry, folks.
Can I ask a question, Mayor Morgan? This is Councilwoman Janice.
I didn't do it again.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
When is a particular contract up? I don't remember seeing a date. The one we have right now.
Okay, can you see now?
Yes.
We do. Waste Management Incorporated. That's who we have, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks,
Okay,
Robert.
let me.
Robert will address that.
Now that I'm up and running, maybe some of the questions will be answered, Councilmember Bruno, through this
Okay.
presentation. First of all, we have been with Waste Management, who bought out Republic Services, who bought out Allied Waste, who bought out. Long story short, the individual that's been with us for the last 10 to 15 years is Mr. Gary Gauchi. He is on the phone and will maybe addressing any questions or concerns you have regarding the contract. To answer your question, the contract is up. And this is a new proposed contract, 5-year contract with a 5% annual cap. For the longest time, the city of Smithville has enjoyed twice a week service, rear load, unlimited trash, unlimited bulk. And, for safety and operational efficiency reasons and cost, we need to renegotiate the contract. And that's what's been happening in the past 3 months, working with Mr. Gary Gauchi to do a pro forma to get the most bang for the buck. In Smithville, folks have gotten used to twice a week service, and the proposed here proposal here is to continue the twice a week service, reduce from once a week bulk to once monthly bulk, but 4 yards. And you'll see in the lower left-hand corner of the presentation slide, that's a 2-yard roll off. So once a month, every citizen in Smithville can put out twice that amount for bulk. Maybe it's a refrigerator, maybe it's a couch, maybe it's an old mattress. That happens once a month. And if you multiply that times 12, that's a 48 yards worth of bulk. If you recall back when we had the floods, the 4 that we've had, and which, by the way, Gary and whatever company he was with at the time made sure that we received 54 roll-offs, 40-yard roll-offs. So it's a lot of bulk. The good thing about reducing the bulk to once a month is operational efficiencies that you'll garner. What happens when you have bulk mixed with regular trash pickup? They being waste management and the crew, they load out, they pack out, they run out of space because you can't really define how much trash, as our old contract was unlimited trash, unlimited bulk. So that really hurt our efficiencies and operational capabilities, because a lot of times trash would be missed and you'd have to wait till the next available day to pick up what was missed. So we feel that the twice a week service will continue. The reducing to 1 time a month bulk is plenty of bulk to provide our citizens. The one major change is that in this contract, you will have to go with a 1 cart, 95-gallon poly cart that all the trash has to go in. And here's what the cart looks like. And there's Councilmember Gordon standing by the cart. It's huge. I don't think there'll be any problem with being able to fit most of your trash in this particular container. Should there be a resident that needs an additional container, it's $6 for 2 of those. But I'm telling you, my wife and I and a couple of the dogs can fit in that container. It's huge. There will be no charge to the residents for the distribution of these containers in the event you do choose to go under contract with Waste Management. The caveat here is the garbage must be in the cart and the lid must be closed. And that's going to help uniformity, a certain look down an alley. You won't have a bunch of bags, a bunch of cans knocked over by dogs or whomever. It'll be much easier for the operations team to handle a single cart because they'll roll it to the back and there's a grappling hook that will dump it. So it's a much safer operation. It's a known quantity of waste that you're dealing with. And we have 1,553 residential customers times 95-gallon capacity. So you know it's a defined amount, whereas before you didn't know. So operationally, it'll be more efficient. Safety wise, it'll be more efficient because you don't have people handling all the multiple cans, types, bags that they have been in the past. This cost, as was brought up, is going to increase. We're 50 miles from a landfill. That costs money. It's $143,000 more than we budgeted for, but I'm happy to report that the additional expense can be absorbed by the cost savings from not hiring 5 people that we've kind of been sitting on. We have 5 employees that we haven't brought on for 6 months. And then I also have reserves. So the good news here, although the cost is increasing to the city, that cost is not going to be transferred to the customer. There'll be no increase to the monthly rate of $33.17 that everyone's currently paying. That's one of the issues. Another issue is a large container. You know, Grandpa Joe or Josephine may not be able to get this container to the alley or to the curb. Waste Management does have a service, door-to-door service, that, if needed, can be utilized or implemented to help get that cart from the garage or the house to the truck and back to the house. So if anyone's concerned about, you know, grandma not being able to get their trash to the curb, there's an out for that. If you do choose to go under contract with Waste Management, Inc., it'll become effective on March 1st, which is just a couple weeks away. There'll be a marketing campaign to educate folks about the new expectations. There'll be a trade-off of old cans for new, and there'll be a distribution of the new poly carts across town, and Waste Management will take the old cart if you mark it, or the old can if you mark it for disposal. That's kind of the program in a nutshell. The annual cap that I discussed in the first bullet is based upon, or the increases, potential increases are based upon CPI and the cost of diesel. But we've written into the contract, it can be no more than 5% annually. And in some cases, given our fuel situation in the past, other municipalities have not been charged the whole 5%. In fact, the fuel cost was zero here recently with the diesel prices so low. That's about all I have to give you, except I wanted to bring attention to this particular chart. Did some benchmarking of a lot of the other providers and what they're currently paying. We are one of the few municipalities in the area that still offer twice a week service. We're the only municipality pretty much with garbage pickup that's not automated, besides what Mr. Harris said about Rollingwood. The $33.17 that the customers are currently paying not only pays for the waste management service, it pays for leaf and limb, which is an extreme value. I mean, Councilman Kahana members will tell you that we tried to get rid of that and it was anarchy. People have gotten used to leaf and limb service. And that's all I have for my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Robert, can you explain why you said it's been the same person, same more or less company? I mean, the companies have changed, but the same service provider. And we didn't go out for bid, I guess. You obviously checked rates from other places. And from a perspective of ordinances or laws for the city, did we follow all guidelines? I guess is the question.
Yes, sir. The procurement codes under Texas Local Government Code Annotation Standard 252.021. A city's contract for garbage collection with a private corporation is within exception for the expenditures to protect or preserve the public health and may be awarded without competitive bidding. And that's the case Brown and Ferris Inc. versus City of Leon Valley back in 1979. So by law, we do not have to go out for competitive bidding for our waste management contract. One of the few times you don't have to go out for bid.
And you know, the last time, I don't know, 5 years ago, if you were city manager or you were close to it, I mean, did we do this process the same? We went out and reviewed and then renewed that contract, I guess at the time with Republic Service.
Yes, sir, we did. And similar numbers. Most of what you're seeing on the screen is once a week service. Since we get twice a week, I doubled the price, and you can still see the $27.95 is well below what other folks are getting if they were to provide twice a week service. So to answer your question, yes, we have always historically had very good rates with Waste Management or Republic Services. And they just got, in all honesty, they were losing money on the contract. So everything goes up and our rates have not gone up very, very much over the past decade. And these are now competitive, but it's also, we're getting bang for the buck. Because in addition to the twice a week service, the once monthly bulk, every container that the city has at all of our warehouses and our parks comes with a contract free of charge. Waste Management also will provide 4 roll-offs for our annual spring cleanup at no charge. Mr. Gary Gauchi is always giving back to our community through fundraisers, benefits. He's been there when we needed him with fires and floods. and there's a certain part of loyalty that I have, and the service has been good. So I hope that answered your question. Excuse me.
I would like to also state on a personal level, I'm very happy with the job that is being done as far as our trash being picked up. All the guys that pick up the trash are always courteous. You know, I've seen them pick up in the alley stuff that wasn't even in the can. I feel like the last 5 years I've been very happy. I haven't even noticed that anything went wrong. So I'm very happy with the situation we have now, and I hope we just stay with it.
Hey, Robert, this is Janice. On the no charge services to the city facilities, have we had, that's been the whole last 5 years also? For the larger 93 yard, 6 yard, has that always been, or is that something new?
Oh, it's always been.
Wow, okay, thank you.
As I said, I have the account manager and the person I've worked with for 10 years, Mr. Gary Gauchi. Do you have any comments that you'd like to discuss with the council?
Yes, Robert, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, again, this is Gary Gauchi with Waste Management. I just want to thank you, Robert, and, Madam Mayor, and the council for entertaining the opportunity for us to renew the contract. As Robert has said, we've had a great working relationship. The companies may have changed, but all the people that have served the city and partnered with the city for the past decade, pretty much right across the board, remain the same. As Robert has said, you know, when we had the contract with Republic Services, the contract was extremely underwater, but of course, being contractually locked in, you know, when Waste Management took over, we would do everything possible, of course, to honor that contract. As the contract has come up, what we've done is just made sure that we were able to keep the rate within, you know, what the current market dictates. You know, to provide a little bit of, I guess, comparison, I live in the city of Austin. I have one 96-gallon cart for trash once a week. I have every other week recycling. I get bulk once every 6 months, and my rate is closer to $40. So certainly the amount of service, the amount of free services we provide Smithville, the amount of, you know, partnering that we've done. Like I said, there have been floods, fires in Bastrop. I've worked with Robert and the county commissioner out there. Day, night, weekend, these relationships go beyond a simple contract. Obviously, the most important thing is to make sure that the citizens in the city of Smithville are taken care of. And we just greatly appreciate the business and the partnership, and respectfully ask that you give our approval to continue this relationship for another 5 years. And if there's anybody has any questions, I'll gladly answer them.
I've got a question. Robert, you mentioned something about going out there and advertising, or, you know, promoting this or whatever. We only have, 3 weeks till March 1st. When will the changeover, or when are you thinking the changeover would occur? You know, as far as the new containers and stuff like that.
Well, Gary is.
Robert, do you want me to answer that, or are you?
Go ahead, Gary.
Okay, sir. So basically, this is what would happen is once we get the approval, we have obviously a third-party company that will go about working on distribution for the carts. As we are getting that queued up, I'll be working with Robert and our marketing team to make sure that everybody within the city of Smithville knows what's going on. So we'll have a marketing campaign that will feature some type of flyers or something we would attach to the carts. We'd also get some type of PDF information that the city can put on their website. And what we want to do is, for one, make sure that everybody is aware of what's going on. A lot of people in the city of Smithville have a multitude of different containers. Basically what we would do is, you know, we service the city Monday, Tuesday, and then again on Thursday and Friday. So what we would do is, on the service day, everybody who's on the Monday route we would have everything mapped and they would get carts distributed then, and the Tuesday people would then do the same. So the goal would be sometime very soon after the contract renews, which would be March 1st, that we would have this all planned. Obviously, there's just a bunch of final kind of last minute logistical things that need to take place, but we could make that happen in relatively short turnaround. Did that help clarify things, or?
I think so. I mean, one thing we got to do is, I wouldn't want to show up and drop a container and they're not aware of what's going on. So,
exactly. And what Robert and I talked about is, like I said, since so many people have so many different containers, we would also make sure that those containers, if they choose not to want them, some people want their old containers, some people don't, that we would make sure that they're aware that the very first fall pickup that we would do, we would make sure that any containers put out and flipped upside down would be seen as a trash item and not an item containing trash. And we would make sure that we get the city cleaned up. So yeah, it's not going to happen overnight where people get confused. The whole idea is that the transition be as smooth as possible with as little confusion, especially since we're probably going to be delivering cans over a few day period, so people don't get concerned if the cart didn't get dropped off. Chances are what we would do is work with Robert and find a staging area somewhere within the city that our third party could use. So that way, obviously, they're not having to round trip all the way back to our facility off of 963. And I think we could very quickly get done, 750 to 800 homes in any one given day. So we should be able to roll those out according to the service day.
So how many containers are we talking about that's coming to Smithville?
1,553.
1,553.
Now,
Not
to your
small
point,
amount.
Councilman McConick, we will also put this in. There'll be a insert in the utility billing to alert people about the change. Facebook, city website, and I was just thinking about I could work with Gary's team to drop off something on the trash can or the door to let people know that.
It's also a safety issue, isn't it? For your employees. At the end of the day, I can tell you put a trash can, you can feel it's pretty darn heavy. I guess these hook on the back and dump in, correct?
Yeah, they have wheels, and what our guys will do is they'll wheel them to the back of the rear load, and there's like a tipping device. And that, again, Robert had mentioned earlier about the desire to keep the lid closed. We really try to keep the lid closed for a couple reasons. One being is that, if you stuff it all the way, yes, you're correct, it does get pretty heavy. But if the lid is open and things are projecting way far out of it, it's a little bit harder to get things lined up in the tipper. Animals could get in it. And, on the occasion that we have a torrential downpour, a loaded can with 96 gallons of water with all this other trash in here would be heavy beyond compare. So in order for us to service it properly and make sure that obviously the safety of our guys and the safety of the citizens are our number one priority, the idea would be to keep the lids closed. And as long as they're closed, we'll be able to service them and get them on the truck and get them back empty to each resident.
Okay. Thank you.
Council, does anyone have any other questions?
No, thank you.
I got one more question, Robert. On the 40 yard that's down at the actual warehouse, are those rates going to be published, or is that everyone gets, if you take in 4 yards, is that what a citizen will be allowed?
No,
How's
ma'am.
that work?
Let me clarify that for you. The 40 yard at the warehouse is a for charge. You have a trailer full of stuff you want to get rid of. However, that Waste Management does not charge us for that.
Okay.
But it's a service that we provide because we have to handle it and process who comes in and
Right.
who goes out.
Okay.
The 4 yards that your monthly bulk that we're talking about is at your house, and they'll
Oh.
pick it up.
Okay. Cool.
I was just showing you what a 2 yard container looked like.
Thank you.
Oops, didn't work. Yeah, see?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a
That's
2-yard container. So 4 yards of waste is twice that you'll
Yes,
have the ability to dump off once a month in your yard.
nice.
Now, Gary, did we tell them how what day is the bulk? What are we targeting for bulk day? Because again, I don't want to
Okay,
back
so
out.
yeah, sure. Operationally, what we would like to do is, as I said earlier, and I'm sure everybody's aware, but just to make sure we're all on the same page, like I said, we do Monday, Tuesday, and then we do Thursday, Friday. And again, the Monday, Thursday are the same route, and the Tuesday, Friday are the same route. What we would like to do, and this is one of the things that we'll be obviously doing once we broadcast all the information to the residents, is we would like to have the monthly bulk be the last Monday and Tuesday of every month. And again, I'll provide you a calendar from Waste Management. Again, we can put it on the website, with the idea being is that if somebody has a little bit more bulk, or we get to full picking it up on Monday and Tuesday, that still allows us to have vehicles in the city on Thursday and Friday that we could have any cleanup if for whatever reason bulk is extremely heavy. That way there's never any bulk within the city more than potentially 4 or 5 days. Nothing will be cluttering up the road, and the city will be clean and uniform. So idea being final Monday and Tuesday of every month, unless the city has a different preference.
Council, does anyone else have any questions?
I have one question, Madam Mayor. How does this impact things like construction debris for the large containers? Is there any way you address that? Is it allowed, not allowed, et cetera?
So construction debris is not allowed in any residential container, and I don't want to necessarily go on record to say 100%, but I'm pretty much 100% certain that there's no carrier out there that would accept construction debris in residential containers. The reason for it is it gets very, very difficult to stop, and people who own side businesses that do construction or demolition will be able to use city waste for residents as a way to get rid of that. Construction debris is usually very heavy. Nails are sticking out at places, and I mean all the things that could create the greatest safety hazard kind of fall under construction debris.
Mhm.
The idea being, we would not want construction debris in one of those 96-gallon carts. Now, we are providing monthly roll-offs at the city yard that people can take construction debris,
Mhm.
or there is we have 4 40-yard roll-offs right now for either some type of spring or fall, whatever the annual cleanup may be, that they could do something like that. So there are avenues and outlets for people, but doing it where people are handling it and potentially getting harmed, we contractually do not want that happening.
Right. I just want to make sure that was addressed, and that for those of us who are watching this proceeding, want to make sure they understand that construction debris is not allowed, and for the reasons you just stated. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments? Well, then I will entertain a motion.
Mayor Morgan, I make a motion that we enter into the agreement with Waste Management Incorporated. The contract is a proposed 5-year with the 5% annual cap. Solid waste contract renewal.
I second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, council, and thank you, Gary. And Gary,
Thank you all very much.
good job.
You guys all have a good evening. Thank you again for your vote of confidence, and I'll be getting with Robert in the morning to get the balls moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too. Okay, moving on to item 13. Discussion and action on entering into a standard utility agreement and advanced funding agreement with TxDOT for the relocation of water and wastewater utilities in support of the State Highway 95 expansion improvement project. Robert, you're on.
I guess you'll want to know something about this. Let me update everyone. This project initially was brought to us 10 years ago. At the time, it was $3.4 million. The cost of the project to expand SH95 is now somewhere between 10 and 15 million. Part of the requirement for the expansion is that the utility that owns the infrastructure and the right-of-way, they have to be responsible for moving those utilities. Initially, it was $1.7 million and didn't know how in the world the city was going to come up with $1.7 million to relocate utilities when our budget's only 11 back at the time. We lobbied, we got Senate Bill 1512 passed, which is very specific to Smithville, which basically states that TxDOT will pay for the relocation of utilities in the right of way if they are the ones that want to expand the road, which is what they are doing. And this is where we're at today. We actually, the council awarded the engineering contract for the relocation of the utilities to BEFCO. I have Mr. Joseph Wilrich on the line, and he can answer any questions that I don't answer for you to your satisfaction. But I think you're going to like the fact that the standard utility agreement basically takes all the work. It's a 173-page document that's obviously too big to send out. There are drawings about where all the utilities are going, the conflicts, and what it's going to cost to move these utilities and actually install betterments, elective betterments. To make a long story short, the cost of the project is $3.8 million to relocate the utilities. Of that cost, the city will have to provide a $50,000 match, if you will, in an advanced funding agreement. So bottom line is $50,000 gets us 3.8, make a long story short. The standard utilities agreement documents what needs to be done. The AFA, which is an advanced funding agreement, which you're seeing the cost scroll through now, is what's going to allow us to start submitting invoices for reimbursement, because we've already incurred costs with BEFCO, as well as pay our portion of the betterments, the elective betterments, the upsizing of water lines to meet fire demand. Those are sometimes called elective betterments, and that's what the $50,000 is for that you're seeing on the screen. So if you guys approve the standard utilities agreement and the advanced funding agreement, this project can proceed.
Thank you, Robert. I know this has been a major undertaking. It's been something that's been under consideration for years, and over the past several months, I think you've really moved the ball forward with all the people involved at TxDOT, and thanks to our county commissioner and
BEFCO. They've done a phenomenal amount of work. That's the packet that you see here and the packet that Jennifer's scrolling through now. So Joseph, thank you for the work that you've done thus far.
Council, does anyone have any questions or comments?
Well, I guess the question is, I mean, I got to ask you, like, where are we at in the process as far as starting work? I mean,
Yeah.
this is basically,
Good point. So
I know it's a long deal. I know it's probably out there, but just interesting.
well, the letting is scheduled, targeted for the August, September, October timeframe. That's where we're doing a joint bid, by the way, to save costs for mobilization with TxDOT. That's another reason the AFA is required. They're going to manage the project. And if they get a contractor identified, they could start as early as January 2022, starting on the project.
Fantastic.
And since it's a joint bid project, we'll be working alongside them.
Was the 50,000 put in the current budget for this year, or is that going to be for next year, or how did?
Here's the thing about it. So we've been incurring expense to this for the last year and a half, $250 some odd thousand. Once the AFA is signed, we can submit invoices for reimbursement of those funds. So this is money we've already spent last year that we can bank to pay the 50,000 on the AFA. So yes, to answer your question.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Indeed.
Council, any other questions? Well, then I will entertain a motion.
Miss Mayor, I make a motion that we enter an action on entering into the standard utility agreement and advanced funding agreement with TxDOT for the relocation of water and wastewater utilities in support of the State Highway 95 expansion and improvement project.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by raising your hand and saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, council, and thank you, Robert. I know this has been a
Yes.
major
Thank
undertaking.
you.
That's just
And I
north
do
of
want to
Austin.
tell you, I read every sentence of the proposal that was in our packet, so I'm glad you didn't send out the entire document.
No,
Yeah.
too much.
Kudos to Robert.
Well, it takes a team. Takes a team. So thank y'all. All right, next item.
Moving on to item 14, discussion and action on a resolution amending resolution 2021-01-461, calling the special election by adding filing period deadlines. Robert, can you explain this?
Certainly. So, places 1, 2, and 3 are normally a general election, and those are up for grabs, if you will. With Scott's resignation and your appointment to mayor, it created a vacancy in place 4 that's now filled by Councilmember Yannick. Both of those being unexpired terms fall under the special election, which will coincide with the general election, which actually saves us money. But on the prior resolution, we had the wrong deadline to submit or file for the place 4 spot on the ballot and the mayor's unexpired term on the ballot. So instead of February 12th, it's actually March 1st. So we're just changing the date to March 1st. So Madam Mayor, if you choose to run again, and Councilmember Yannick, if you choose to run again, your deadline is May 1st. I'm sorry, March 1st, March 1st. The election's May 1st.
Right. Okay, thank you.
As far as like the deadline on place 1, so mine remains February 12th?
You're this Friday. Yes.
On this, and then
1, 2, and 3 is Friday.
Okay.
The mayor in place 4 unexpired terms is March 1st,
Okay.
which is a Monday. So approving this resolution clears that up.
Okay. Clear as mud.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we go ahead and approve the resolution, that amended resolution 2021-01-461, calling the special election by adding the filing period deadlines to be amended to reflect March 1st, 2021 deadline for candidates to be placed on the special election ballot for mayor and place 4 aldermen.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, council. Item 15, discussion and action on authorizing the city manager to grant COVID-19 sick time hours to newly hired city employees. Robert, would you explain to us?
Certainly. Council and Mayor, you guys took action back in March of last year to drop COVID sick time hours for all employees and part-time employees. Just as a point of where we are to date, approximately 55 of our 76 employees have used COVID hours. We've had a couple of outbreaks in the Smithville PD. We've had issues here at City Hall. There are people whose family members get sick and they have to stay home and take care of the family members or the kids. Of those 55 people that have used the sick time, COVID sick, 75% are out. What I would like to do, since we've hired 7 new people since the disaster was declared back in March of last year, I'd like to add 40 hours to the regular full-time employees, the new ones, and 24 hours to any part-time employee that has been hired since the disaster began. So that's basically it. I'd like to drop some sick time into these folks' accounts that don't have any and have had to take off without pay. And I don't think that's fair. That's it.
I think that's a great idea, Robert, because our first priority is to keep our employees safe. And we don't want people coming to work sick. We don't want them coming to work when they should be quarantined. So I think this is a good suggestion. Council, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve. I'm looking at the city manager grant COVID-19 sick time hours to new city employees based on what the city manager just said.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, Cynthia, it's time for you to tell
Thank
us
you.
about the financial report.
Good afternoon. You had in your packets the January financial report. If you looked at it, our revenues were at 2.4 of our $4.9 million budget. General fund definitely looks good due to the collection of property taxes. Our reserves in the general fund are at $1 million, so we're definitely good. We'll see the revenue starting to drop off in the general, but should hold us till the end of the year. Utility fund is still holding steady. Hopefully when the warmer months come, the revenue will pick up in that. So I don't know if y'all have any questions or concerns or.
Council, do you have
On the-
any questions for Cynthia?
Right.
Go ahead, Mike.
On the first page, it says, so the groundwater district was 33,000. That's the fee we pay to use our
Yeah,
plants
that
to pull water out.
yes.
Is that for the entire year?
That was for the 9 months from January through September.
Okay.
They break it up. So the rest of the year, but it's been budgeted and they haven't changed their rates in several years. So it's the same amount we've paid for the last several years.
A piece of information that you may or may not know, we are permitted for 4,000 acre feet of water. We use about 700 to 800 acre feet a year. So in the Wilcox Creosote Aquifer. So that's good news. It used to be 12,000.
Any other questions for Cynthia?
I'm just
No,
full of
no.
useless information, I guess, right?
Oh, that's great.
I thought that was interesting. All right,
I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the financial report as presented.
I second.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Cynthia.
Good job.
Thank you.
And
Mayor, I
does
have one comment. I want to thank the Smithville Police Department, the animal control officer, and all the citizens that helped capture the bison that ran through the town. I mean, it was funny. It was ironic that we were playing the Giddings Buffaloes, but in all seriousness, it could have been a very
Yeah.
If there
disastrous.
wouldn't have been that
event.
train, that buffalo would have been home free. He would have been on out of 95.
You probably would have been home on the range, right?
Home on the range, you Bill.
Only in Smithville, though.
And the guys did a great job at the fire too.
Yes.
Yep.
Way to
In
go,
Smithville.
volunteer fire department.
So,
Yes, it's been a busy week.
thank you all
It's
very
on
much. So,
Okay, council, I want to thank you. I think items on the agenda tonight were some very important things, and I appreciate your support. And thank you, Robert, for all the work you've done on it.
Good job, guys.
Yeah, definitely.
And with that, I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
See you on the funding papers.
You.